Oh boy, this is exactly what I wanted to see. All I wanted to do was spend this, what is it, Tuesday? Wanted to just spend this Tuesday setting things up, getting ready for a stream, and then all of a sudden, your internet connection just decides to fuck you in the ass. So, hi. Oh no. And I just realized the headset on. It looks really fucking goofy, but hey, that's what open back headphones does for you. Hello. Hello to everyone who has kindly waited. I actually haven't sent out the... you can tell how close to the wire this is because I'm still dealing with bullshit. I guess I'll just throw in... Alright, that's the notification sent. There you go. So I think the stream might be dropping frames, unfortunately, but that is just something that is outside of my hands because for some reason, I don't know why I decided to do this today, because usually the internet connection that I have here is actually pretty fucking consistent. But for some reason, they decided all of a sudden today to just start dropping frames like Butterfingers. And I don't understand why. This is horrible. Still, assuming that I'm actually coming up okay, I guess that's really all that's important. It is not DSL. It's supposed to be a half-decent cable connection. The problem is, and actually this might be the entire reason why it's like this, is that I am currently like, what, 2 stories high from where the router actually is, so I have to go through a wireless connection. And said wireless connection actually doesn't reach this room very well naturally, so the internet from the router has to go through a repeater that's 1 floor down, you know, in between the router and the system. And I still have to go through like 2 solid walls just to, I still have to go through 2 sets of solid walls just to get to that repeater, just to get to the router, to get the internet. Really convoluted, overly stupid setup. God damn it, phone. You're on timeout today. Yes, rip. Rip, indeed. And YouTube is complaining to me about the bit rate, and I can't really do a lot to help that right now. It's just going up and down. This bit rate is... I could have sworn that the last time I actually streamed that the connection wasn't this bad, and it was the same internet connection too. It's the same internet setup. Nothing else really changed. Nothing geographically changed. The moon phase is correct. It's fucking weird. Let's get a 50 meter internet cable. It'll be fine. No. God, if only it was that simple. I mean... So, I guess the main thing is that since I'm living with family at the moment, don't really want to do too much that's like super specific for my particular setup. I think we, when like we first came into the house long ass time ago, we did kind of talk about, having like a separate line, just to get up here for my room. And I was like, I don't really think I'm gonna need that because I'm only gonna use 2 devices. It should be fine. Should is the key word. Should be fine, but hey, that's just how it is in my life. It's like whenever you want to do something, not everything's gonna work, and it's just gonna be like this. That's just how it is. That's just how it is. It's very unfortunate. Get one of those wall adapters for Ethernet over the power plug. Right, power line adapters. Yeah, we considered that, but then I realized I wasn't gonna fucking do that. That's all it is. I just was going to go through that. It's a lot more headache. Okay, it's not actually too much of a headache, because I did look into how Powerline works, sort of understand how it works, but then it's like, trying to explain that to tech-illiterate parents when you are their only source of IT professionality, like, at all. Like they are completely blind, or they just don't understand technology that well. And that's fine, because that's not what they're grown into. But, you know, trying to explain this kind of stuff to them, they're going to freak out. So, don't really want to pause that. The idea is I was probably going to get another Wi-Fi range extender to get up to this floor. And that way, when I do it through that, it should be fine. It should be fine that way. But yeah, it's things are in flux, as they always are at this messed up studio. Nice headphones, yes, thank you very much. Philips SHP 9600s. Philips headphones are actually pretty good, and you can get them for pretty cheap. I got these used for like 80 bucks or something. This was like 2 years ago. I had one of those D-Link powerline adapters. Really depends on your house wiring, but max I got from those was 3 megabytes. Oh no. So, yeah, those depend on your wiring setup is the thing. The electricity grid on here is actually was recently updated, or at least that's what the old seller claimed, that the internet should have been updated on. The electricity should be relatively up to date within about 5 years or so. But like, we also still have ovens and microwaves and shit, and yeah, there's just a lot of uncertainties when you're dealing with Powerline. Powerline, it really makes the power gay. Fuck. What the hell else here's going on? As my laptop is starting to combust from having to handle a simple internet stream. Jesus Christ. I need to get a pop filter for my XLR mic. Yeah, that's probably necessary. Family does not know how to click email links. Thankfully, they are actually literate when it comes to phishing scams. They know how those work. So, I don't know who taught them. I don't know if it's just common sense. I mean, we as a family worked a lot in New York, so we are kind of used to just scam bullshit everywhere, because New York itself is just kind of a scam. But yeah, they're fine. They don't... The email scam shit doesn't really faze them at all. It's fine. Would you still recommend Linux if someone uses a 4K 27-inch monitor? Linux scaling. Linux display scaling. Oh, Jesus Christ. Right. Funny story about that whole image scaling nonsense. So, if I can actually figure out how this shit works. I'm gonna see if I still have that image. If not, it might still be on my phone. But I did get a funny picture about this from... Because I had to change monitors recently. Not had to change, but I did change... I did change monitors between the last couple videos, and actually kind of saw it a little bit with the thing I did recently, my stupid hot takes about Linux popularity. If I can actually find that fucking image, that would be really nice. But trying to look, because I know it's here somewhere. Damn. Coming to it. There it is. This stupid shit. I'm gonna see if I can just plug this right into the display. You're really not gonna... Wow, okay. Just gonna throw this on the screen real quick. So, I recently had to change displays to a giant-ass 50-inch TV as my main monitor. And yes, it looks not pretty at all. That's a 1080p image in the center. That's really fucking small. And honestly, the thing is, with high DPI screens in Linux, some applications can handle it just fine. Others don't really know what to do with it, and that's mostly GTK apps, I think, or things like the GNOME suites, like the stuff that GNOME ships. Kind of get a bit of a coin toss there whether it's actually going to scale well or not. Qt apps, the stuff that's for KD, Plasma, they're fine, but 4K on a 50-inch display is fine. 4K on a 27-inch display, I don't think it would be... I don't know. Actually, now that I think about it, if the display is smaller, then you could get away with just 2x scaling on everything. So in that case... Yeah, in that case, you would just get away with a clean 2x integer scale. In that case, it's fine. It's everything in between 1x and 2x window scales where it gets funky. On X11 in particular, it's weird because everything with X11 is just kind of sometimes a little bit janky, although it works fine. On Wayland, it's even worse. So then in that case, it depends on what desktop you're using and what display protocol you're using, how up to date it is. It's been getting better on that front, but I haven't really kept up with it because I think I've made my opinions on Wayland pretty clear by now. That it's not that I'm not a fan, it's just not ready for my use, so I can't in good faith recommend it if I can't use it myself. And that's kind of a big thing. This monitor is amazing. It is not. I swear to God, I didn't do it because of DVI. DVI is not the reason I got that TV set up. All things considered, the TV is pretty nice. It's not a monitor though, and it's not as fast as a monitor, so that's sort of what causes problems. Mostly in size and convenience and input lag, which isn't fantastic. But like for most normal games, it's fine. It's actually pretty roomy for Resolve, which I appreciate. More than ever, since I have to deal with like a single project takes like 20 or 30 video tracks, man. I overcomplicate things for myself way too much. But having that room is really, really handy. even if I'm not gonna use a TV as a monitor for much longer, to be honest. I don't know. 1080p on 27-inch is too low res. Yes, 1080p, you really shouldn't be using 1080p on anything, I think, larger than 24-inch. 24-inch, it might be noticeable, but it's not going to be that bad. 27 inches and onwards, welcome to Block City. It's not fantastic. Scaling works better on Wayland. It really depends. It's been getting better, and it's getting to the point where it might be more consistent than X11 at some points. Like I said, me going through the Wayland experience is probably at this point a year or two out from now, so I just want triple 30-inch. Oh, god damn it, June, no. Your desires are much more ridiculous than I can ever. Props to you for thinking that you can have the desk space for that. The truth is, I want to eventually get a dual monitor setup myself, but budget, if it's between a tiny-ass 1080p monitor and a giant TV, the real estate of the TV kind of wins out, and yeah, that's just what I use right now. That is not 80 inches, it's 50 inches. 50. It looks huge though, especially when you're using 1080p screenshots to illustrate your point. Maybe that wasn't the best idea in hindsight. Oh well, but god, this TV isn't the most, it is not the most friendly thing. Just, like, I can't wait to actually go back to a real monitor. Hopefully at some point, something that's variable refresh rate. That's kind of a long way off, and not really something I'm super focused on right now. So, that's sort of how it is. Jesus. I should be able to change, if I change my room layout, I should be able to fit the ideal setup. That, I appreciate the air quotes. I see your game there. I see your game. Wonder if I can actually get away with doing this. Also, another kind of behind-the-scenes thing that's happened here. This happened a long time ago, to the point that I honestly forgot that this happened. But I, at some point, accidentally deleted my configuration folder for, you know, apps on my Linux desktop. And while I recovered most of them, I completely forgot that I didn't actually recover the OBS thing. And so I actually had to set up my OBS stuff from scratch over the past 2 days just to get ready for this. Because I completely forgot. Backups are for wimps. Let's just say that. I usually keep a pretty good backup practice. You know, I have stuff on my server, and then I also have stuff on offsite storage. Generally, it's fine. It's just that one instance of OBS that I just forgot because I don't stream a whole lot, if you couldn't tell. I'm not really a very streaming optimized channel, is the thing. And that is putting it fucking lightly. If I really want to, I can just... yes. I just realized also that I think the camera is focusing on the background. Fun. That's open camera for you. My camera setup, just like everything else on the setup, is very fucking jank. Yeah, I don't know why I forgot to back up my OBS scenes. Like, I did from back when it was on Windows, and so some of the assets transferred over, but I changed it since then. I was stupid. I was fucking really stupid back then. That is kind of a problem. I really need to learn better practices about that shit. True ideal setup is a 2. That's an extra 0 there, buddy, is that? No. No. If that was the case, we would have just all gone VR at this point. Man, I completely forgot that at this point in time, I completely forgot that Sword Art Online has actually been a thing at this point. We could have had Sword Art Online. We really could have had Sword Art Online. What did we get instead? Whatever the fuck X is, formerly known as Twitter. I don't understand how that happened, but I have so many, like, I guess not really so many, it's a lot of the same thought of why the fuck is Twitter /X/ whatever? Why is it still a thing? Why haven't people just gotten off? Well, I know that because it's just where people are. That's where their friends are. They're all tethered by some other kind of obligation. So it's like, I understand why you can't just leave social media immediately, and that's perfectly fine. You shouldn't have to. Then again, you probably shouldn't be on Twitter in the first place, because I just think that Twitter it's very toxic, but is it any better or worse than constant daily YouTube uploads? I don't know. Depends on who you ask, I guess. VR support, yes. That's the funny thing about Linux, is that VR support is technically a thing, with only like one device, two devices technically. I think Vive, but mostly it's the Valve Index is like the only properly supported VR device on Linux. You need to have that, otherwise it just won't work. Because Facebook are cunts. I don't know. I know why you would want to use an Oculus device, but like, Facebook, why? Just why? Facebook are assholes. And then, of course, Windows Mixed Reality, Microsoft just kind of completely forgot about them. They just made this thing, and it was going to be like this big initiative, and that was actually one of the things I kind of liked about Windows 10, and I had to give it credit for, is that Mixed Reality was not a bad idea for a platform. And then they did nothing with it. It just kind of languished, and it was basically the budget VR platform. I would have been fine with that if they gave a shit and made more pieces of hardware for it, but they never did. That's just what happened. Me and using 3 old monitors that I bought for $18. Oh, hi, Chris. And yes, honestly, the best monitors are the ones that you have. Fuck those people. Fuck certain famous online people like Pav_live on YouTube.com. The other funny Linux guy and Monster Hunter guy. DVI. But yeah, just use whatever monitor you got, man. It's what you really should be using, is just make do with the hardware that you have access to. In my case, that's barely any. I say as I have a bunch of plastic toys just kind of out of view. I just realized that the mic is actually covering some of the stuff that's actually on the desk. Huh. Maybe it's for the best. Keep the evidence out of view from the authorities. If you have a working CRT, keep using that thing. No need to replace perfection. Yeah. CRT monitors are pretty nice. I wish I still had mine. If only it didn't have a hardwired VGA connection, I might actually still use it. Or if I had the foresight, I may have actually repaired it, but... Nani? Plastic toys? Oh, right. So, I actually don't know if I could just show this on YouTube or not. I might actually get demonetized for that. Except, I'm not even monetized to begin with. I'm not a partner, and I choose not to be a YouTube partner. But, yes. Light gun nonsense. This is something that I already kind of finished, like, a long time ago. On that original Linux video. Getting back to the fucking topic of the stream here, I guess. The Linux video, I remember showing, like, a bit of footage on this. Because basically I saw no one talking about or even mentioning getting light guns working on Linux. And honestly, aside from getting the hardware needed, as in a gun, they work just fine on Linux. No one just talks about it. No one talks about gun games on Linux in particular. And that's kind of a funny thing, considering how much of, like, the stuff that exists on Windows already works on Linux through Wine almost perfectly. Almost, I say, because currently that is actually something I'm trying to investigate for a eventual future video thing for both on the Linux series that I'm doing, where I'm just talking about various aspects or lesser known aspects of Linux relating to gaming. And also for an eventual series I want to do, I want to talk about light gun games. And I want to talk about playing light gun games on Linux. Fucking no one's talked about it. And everyone just seems kind of scared to try it to see if it actually worked. And for the most part, it does. But there's still some little bitty bugs that are there that I'm trying to investigate. That actually has to do with the cursor. Because basically what ends up happening is that... Oh, well, this might actually be an overly technical explanation. I don't know if the people here are particularly interested in the minutia of how a fucking light gun works. But... Oh no. No. What about light bars on Linux? Fuck. No one understands. And I don't blame people for not knowing that. Because who the fuck cares about light things? Who cares about light beams on Linux? I do. That's why I'm very obsessive over it, because I am very heavily nostalgic for those types of games, and I just love playing them. They're like the last bits of good gaming that exists in the world that hasn't been tainted by microtransactions and whatever the fuck's happening with Unity. Anyways, eventually at some point, I want to talk about getting light gun games to work on Linux, including shit with Technoparrot, which... Fuck Technoparrot. I'm just gonna sum it up as that, because those guys are just assholes. But once everything works out, I'll have more to say about it. But until then, that's going to be a work in progress. Obviously, though, I have to actually... Well, I did get started on that specific sub-series. I already have the script for the first part of that already done at this point. It's just getting through the recording phase and then whatever live bits I need to do, and then just need to get the footage for it and edit it. But scripting part of the first part's already done. So I want to hopefully get that out at some point within the next couple of weeks. Time frame for that exactly? I don't know, maybe sometime in October, but I definitely want to do that. Yeah, there's just going to be a lot of stuff I'm going to talk about that isn't just light guns. So like I do eventually want to talk more about modding games on Linux, because that's kind of its own like little rabbit hole. And some of the applications like Bottles or Lutris, you know, just kind of talk about those and my experiences with them. Because I definitely have a lot to say about both Bottles and Lutris. Both are pretty interesting to say the least. At least for how I've been using them. So, God, this stream isn't holding up. Modding is a great topic, yes, because, again, that's another one of those topics that basically... Okay, it would be a lie to say that no one's talked about it, because a couple of people have, but, like, I'm not gonna lie, they're also very small channels, about as small as mine, and the only other information is, like, scattered about on random GitHub repositories and just other weird sections of the internet that no average person is ever going to see. So I just want to publicize that kind of stuff. Like, regarding modding games on Linux, particularly like Bethesda stuff, particularly since Starfield has been a thing now, Vortex Mod Manager at least, also Mod Organizer too, but I use Vortex, sue me. Vortex works just fine on Linux, almost out of the box. At least when you're using Steam Tinker Launch, it more or less automates the entire process of setting it up. So you just throw in one command, just sets it up all for you, looks through the Steam library, does all the hooks that it needs, and then it just works. And it's been working beautifully. Like, modding games is not that much of a problem. It's just people don't know that because people don't talk about it. Excuse me. People don't talk about a lot of these things, and I just really want to bring more attention to that. So I hope to be able to talk about that in more detail. Just kind of like the whole case folding situation. You don't know, you wouldn't believe just how many comments I've seen about the whole people not even aware of case folding thing. And to be honest, I didn't know about that for the longest time. That's why I put it in that Linux video in the first place. It's just because, damn, this is such an obscure feature. Why isn't this a thing by default? So I may as well mention it. And hey, it's helped some people. And that's like one of the greatest feelings in the world, to be honest. But it's a shame that it had to be me and my dumbass having to tell people about that. Yes, GPU overclocking. I try not to deal with that too much because I guess my card just isn't good old 3060 Ti. It's a good card in general. I don't think I won the Silicon lottery on that because it doesn't like too high of values. But, like, I can't really get very far on the offsets with that before it just starts to get weird, so I just kind of don't bother too much with it. That said, it works. But yeah, modding stuff and Linux stuff, and that Linux video, which that Linux video is not actually a year old, but the channel that video is hosted on is a year old now. No, trying to actually get to my channel contents, and I just realized I left desktop audio on. Oh wait, no, desktop audio isn't on. Okay, I'll save myself there. I'm so discombobulated with the layout. So it's hard to see. Is there a place where I can see the very first Oh god. I forgot it had some of my older content on. No. Right. This is where the feely's happening now. Alright. I can just get this up. Do I not... Can I not see the date that this was uploaded? Oh, really? Okay, let me get an actual display up on here. Oh, are you fucking kidding me? Is it... OBS, what the fuck are you doing? I'm sorry, I just can't control the internet. Oh no. This is supposed to go wait again. There's supposed to be another part to this. The internet wasn't supposed to fuck me. Oh yeah, using overclocking software. Yeah, Green with Envy. That's like the main one. That said, I don't use the graphical side of it. I just use it because it's Green with Envy. As far as I know, it's the easiest one to use just for getting a overclock done on boot. There is another one that's like console only and basically is like a, I think it's a systemd service file script of some kind. I could just use that too, but eh. You see, it's very hard to tell because on the preview I'm getting, it's buffering like every couple of seconds. And it kind of used to do this on the first stream I did too, so I almost kind of don't mind that. But then I'm looking at my OBS screen here, and the little LED there that's trying to tell me about the network state, it keeps, it's a kaleidoscope. It just keeps going between colors. It's kind of pretty, but also kind of scary still. Damn, though. Core control probably would be what you would use on AMD. I guess that's just how it would be. Let me see if I can just get a... Oh, I know what I can do. Just see if I can just get a window capture going on the game window. And then I can use that to capture the web browser. And then just drop a bit of that for safety and security purposes. Preview scaling, canvas. Alright. See how fast I can get a basic screen capture going. You know, it's gonna be off-centered. Who cares? And I just need to actually get the camera working. That camera is really big. Okay. Congratulations. Man, so professional. And the sky is dimming. Wow. Imagine streaming on YouTube, guys. Imagine streaming when you're not very well prepared for it. Jesus. There you go. There's a chat window that's supposed to be up there, but ignore it. God, that's the layout from back when I was doing things on... That was the layout from back when I was using a Mixer, where I actually had a chat window in the thing. Now it's completely redundant because we have this fancy thing called live chat replays. So I honestly don't even know why. I just didn't update it. Anyways, numbers. Technically speaking, this video wasn't actually released on the 20th. It's a day off, but you know, if you don't tell the cops, this is the points of my stupid YouTube career that started this whole thing of all this other bullshit, including Linux stuff. So yeah, this is just kind of going through the channel and where it started, and how this was definitely not supposed to be a Linux channel at first. Actually, I think about it, the lighting is pretty atmospheric, but it's probably going to get dark and I have to reinitialize the camera soon, but oh well. Fuck. Where the hell do I even begin with this? So, for those who aren't aware, because there's probably a couple, I had been on YouTube for a while, but I was never actually doing video stuff. What I was doing was fucking nothing. So, for the longest time, basically since COVID, since I got out of college, but when COVID hit, I had basically been out of school and a job because I was actually working at the school at the time. I was out of a job for like 2 to 3 fucking years. Since the pandemic happened. That was in 2020. At this point, it was about the summer of 2022. I still didn't know what I was heckin' doing, but I do remember seeing this, like, I can just, yeah, random ass videos. So let's go through a little bit of history here. I think it was around this time that the Linux Gaming Challenge was happening that I was looking more into Linux gaming videos. And of course, the funniest thing is now, whenever you're trying to look at it, actually, no, I don't, nope, there it is. Fun fact, every time I look at my own thumbnail, I get a jump scare because I don't like that thumbnail and I don't like myself very much. That's kind of what I think of myself. At the time, though, I was really interested in the Linux Gaming Challenge, and then, of course, one of the biggest inspirations for me eventually getting off of my ass and doing something is this asshole, who I have mentioned now many different occasions. It's almost like I'm a fucking fan and I simp for this guy. I'm not paid to sponsor him. I don't even think we're technically friends to begin with, but this guy and his very first thing on Linux, which is like kind of ways back here, but that shows how kind of long ago. This came out 2 years ago, but I didn't actually get around to seeing this the first time. I can, yeah, I can control the audio. Oh, right, no, but it's not gonna get desktop audio. It's fine. But this asshole is kind of my introduction into the wild wild world of making videos and also making videos about Linux. All the way back in. He did this in 2021. I didn't see this until middle of 2022, personally. uh my videos are just cringe. My videos are more cringe, trust me. I think everyone when they start making their own everyone when they start making their first videos are always going to be cringe, and I think that's just kind of a systemic thing of sorts. That's just kind of what ends up happening when you're just starting, is that you don't really know what the hell you're doing unless you really happen to hit it off and you're like just some big douchebag, I guess. I don't know. Most people are gonna suck their for the first while, and that, I think what it really comes down to is what is that person's drive for making videos. And if that drive is there, they will continue to make them and they will get better. They will eventually find their footing. And I think everyone can not only do what I can, but maybe do it better. But also, a lot of people will eventually find themselves if they just work at it hard enough. It's really a passion thing. So when I saw Pav's videos about particularly Linux gaming, I was like, huh, Linux gaming is actually kind of a cool thing. And people can use it, and normal people, normal Let's Playing kind of people, can talk about Linux shit. So what I eventually did is I made a video about an old-ass PS2 game that no one remembers. And God, if I can... Thank God that I still have this. So, Jesus Christ. This fucking thing. I don't know how it went from Linux to old-ass PS2 games. Right, I think I remember exactly what it was. That at the time, I was kind of on like a PS2 nostalgia binge at the time. And I just got really into playing Urban Reign again. Which holds a special place in my heart, admittedly, and not just because of the Namco connections, because I'm just a fucking fanboy for that company, I guess, as I've started to learn. But this specific game, I think, taught me a lot about, like, game design, and like, just the way that the game was designed. So much of it is really good and has a lot of potential. And then they just otherwise flop in very particular ways that just makes it not the best experience in a way. And that's kind of just one of the weird things with Urban Reign, is that it's a very flawed game. And that's specifically what got me to talk about it. At the same time, though, it was also me getting myself into editing. So if I could just talk about a simple video game, then heck, maybe I could actually make this YouTube thing sort of a career. And that's what I did. Went and did all of this, like, mechanics breakdowns, and this is what got me into learning, the basics of editing, and also getting my voice right. Because at this point, I was still working with nothing but the things that I had, and at the time, I just had a crappy little blue Snowball microphone. Which I don't think the Snowball is a terrible microphone, but I didn't understand things like EQ or a compressor. I knew a thing or two about sound balancing, but I didn't know yet about how to actually make my voice sound good. And that's why I don't really like going back to this video in particular, because my voice is very nasally, and you can tell that I wasn't comfortable talking about things on the internet, especially about things that I liked that other people probably didn't. One of the other weird things about this this video in particular, and I still have no idea why I haven't decided to put on like a soundtrack or anything, because that would be really useful right about now. Oh, now I remember. Oh god, the lighting is getting even worse. Alright, I'll fix that. I'll fix that later. Man. Ah, yes. I don't think I actually kept the audio files that I used to edit this project in particular. That was also another thing I didn't really know about. Actually keeping track of your fucking video assets. At the time, I just literally as soon as something was done, I just threw it into the trash, and that was kind of it. Okay, this camera thing's gonna start bothering me if I don't fix it. No. Alright, we're back. Fuck. I didn't keep assets for any of these old videos, and I didn't really know anything about audio editing. I remember exactly what I was doing with this initial project was... God. And that stuff is why I got rid of my blue snowball. Yeah, the snowball isn't a fantastic... The snowball is a weird microphone. Let me... Much better. Damn. Yeah, so... That blue snowball was fine, but it made my voice very nasally, but I didn't know how to correct that in a video yet, because everything was a learning experience. I was literally just doing things as I went, as stubbornly as possible. Which, in a way, I kind of have to thank myself for that, because like I am pretty thankful for myself for that. Because I definitely know that one of the biggest problems that I have, I think, as a creator, which definitely doesn't help my philosophy with making videos that much, I have a really bad case of not invented here syndrome. Anytime that there is anything that you could think of, a sound effect, a sound rip, a clip from a video game, anything that already exists on the internet, if I have access to that thing and I can make it, I will fucking do that myself, and I will make it so I can claim the credit for myself. Because I really do not like using other people's assets for making things, which is funny, of course, because I'm also now a part PNG tuber, and I kind of fidget about with sprites, which the Urban Rain video, I didn't actually do that at all yet at this point. In fact, yeah, this is the only video I did where it was pretty much exclusively just gameplay footage. Also, the last one, no. It wasn't until a couple videos later where I realized I probably shouldn't be using the border setup for the entire video. Like, it's a unique aesthetic, but the way I have things just kind of like, I don't like this dead space that's around the video, and I stopped doing that after this. Like, took me a couple videos to actually learn to do that. But like I said, everything is a learning experience. I was going through things quite stubbornly, not really following many other people's example. I just did what I thought was cool. And like honestly, there's still some bits of here that I do enjoy, although of course that's me trying to actually find this is the very first case of me dealing with my pronunciation troubles, which you know, at this rate I probably should just actually throw in an audio source. Audio output capture, audio output capture. Oof, that's the wrong one. Damn. I'm really discombobulated today. But I should have the audio output capture. Add. Damn, that shouldn't have taken as long as it did. Right. I remember being half proud of this one little joke here. It's Gollum? That doesn't sound right. Has it always been pronounced Gollum? I always pronounced it Golem.
Golem.
Yeah, Golem.
Golem.
Google wouldn't lie to me. That kind of started a trend of me not knowing how to pronounce anything. And I think that's still a running joke to this day. And for those people who got tired of me saying Ubuntu, fuck you, it's Ubuntu. or it's Ubuntu, but I forget, what was it, GNOME or GNOME? It's like one of those two things in Linux where you aren't expected to know how to pronounce it. So I don't know why people got on me for pronouncing it in a very strange way. Ubuntu. Yes, that is the proper way to pronounce something. I'm just gonna say that. Ubuntu is based. How do I... Okay. Sidetrack here. So, how do you get your audio to sound so good? Debatable. What do you use for noise suppression for your mic? So for the noise suppression, that is actually a very particular... Okay, so there's like... It really doesn't matter. There is a noise suppression filter thing that you can get that you essentially hook it up into your audio chain. It's this exact project here. You kind of have to do some fiddling with the settings. Mostly, it's to do with like detecting what noises and filtering out more effectively at the cost of some delay. You have to tweak all of this, and then you get this into a pipe wire thing, which is basically this chunk of stuff here. Then you throw that into a configuration file, and I think it was .config/pipewire. I forget at this point exactly what it is. I think it's like .config/pipewire/pipewire-conf-d, and then yeah, the screen's a little bit too big. Oop. Screen's a little bit too big to show it, but yeah, you basically just throw it into like this directory, put this file in. You have to tweak some of the things, and then that's how you get the noise compression. It's very low it basically has no overhead. The only thing it might get is a little bit of delay, depending on your settings. But in this case, because I can set the delay of the microphone to fit with the camera, I'm totally fine with that. And then on top of that, I just have an equalizer set on the microphone object in OBS. And then I have a custom EQ set for all of my videos now going forward. It's basically a slight bass boost and a slight 4 kilohertz bump. And then a compressor on top of that. So I add that to all my videos, and I basically put an approximation of that on OBS. So it more or less is supposed to match how I sound in videos, and I honestly think that whatever reservations I have about my shitty voice, that I honestly think that it's gotten a lot better. Like, it actually sounds kind of respectable. Not to toot my own horn or anything, but, you know, it's at a place where I don't really need to fuck with it too much. It's just a consistent thing. I just throw it in at the beginning of a project, and it just kind of works. Noise torch. Funny thing you say that, because noise torch is actually what's based on that plugin. Or like, it actually is using this plugin as the basis. In fact, if I can actually go to noise torch, I think it should cite it as, yes. Oh wait, no, it's based on RN noise. Gotcha. Either way, they both basically do the same kind of thing. I just wanted the one that didn't rely on using an external application, so I just kind of leave it. So it's just kind of a set once and forget it kind of thing. I don't need to have an extra thing in my tray. A little bit cleaner that way, I just prefer it. But obviously you can do either one. And I think for a little bit I did use Noise Torch, but switched away from it for reasons I actually don't even remember. But that's what it is. But even though my voice was really shitty and I was extremely shy and I didn't really understand audio pacing as much as I do now, there are still some gags here that I still enjoy about this particular video, which, yeah. Can I actually find a bit about nah. But regardless, this was the very first thing that I made. Even after seeing all that Linux video stuff, I was like, I'm gonna make a thing about a game review, and the thought was, after I did this, and after I get comfortable with it, which I apparently did get comfortable with, it took a little bit for that to sink in, but of course, at the time, yeah, to think that this channel, which of course didn't have anything of any note up until this point, it only had 20 subscribers. And I think in that total, right before I uploaded the Linux video, I do remember that this video only had like 50 views. Now, it is the second most viewed content after the Linux video. Only beaten now by the Year of the Linux Desktop ramble. So, like, that was pretty good. And then we get to this piece of shit. This is the very first time I really tried my hand at... I'm just going to expand the window a little bit here. This is the very first time I really tried to handle doing multiple games in a thing. So, like, you know, oh, if I can just do a video on one game, I can do it on multiple ones, and just kind of doing like a quick bits kind of format. You know, just kind of going over the things I just like about these games. And you know what? These games, just kind of get on a side tangent here. Oh, right. And then I had my shitty camera on the other side. I didn't know what glare was at the time. Or maybe I think I did, but for some reason, I didn't have the bright idea to face it towards a wall where it's not gonna be bright as shit and just cause the image to bloom as much as it does. I don't know what I was thinking. But honestly, the setup hasn't really changed at all. And I guess now you know pretty much what my room looks like, just based off of the camera here and the shots that I've done in my recent videos. To this video, you kind of now know how the room looks. Oh, wow. But, you know, doing stuff talking about... Well, Scott Pilgrim's good too, but talking about these games was actually... This is kind of a filler thing, admittedly, because I was just talking about things I really enjoyed, but I think this is kind of where you got to see a little bit of refinement, although, of course, at this point, I still didn't quite understand the whole audio mixing.
It perfectly understands the fundamentals of what makes a good arcade game. Things start off at a pretty pedestrian pace at the beginning, so it's all...
And also, I actually sound a lot more natural in this. Jesus. I think I went a little bit too heavy on the bass there compared to what I do have now. So, there's that. Still, I don't think that badly. Oh yeah, and also, this is the very first appearance of me actually using character bits. So I actually kind of... This is actually the very first time that I actually messed with the whole lip sync stuff. And nice, cool. To be tuxedo. Oh boy. Anyway, so like this is the very first time that I really did more comedy, a little bit more comedy bits that you know breaks the pattern a little bit. I tinkered with animation, which to be frank about it, I think at the time I was very nervous about it, but I really wanted to do more animation stuff because I was very much inspired by watching stuff like stop me if you've heard this before, Dragon Ball Z Abridged. And just general, like, anime abridged series. So now that'd also be, like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged, the Fate Stay Night one. A bunch of others. I remember watching a lot of, like, the behind-the-scenes stuff about the behind-the-scenes of some of the DBZA videos. And I just kind of took that for myself a little bit. I've shown, like, bits and pieces of how like those character bits are composed, but basically it's just rigging a model as a fusion asset in Resolve speak. That's basically like an After Effects thing. So you just make the characters like that object so that I can use that to pivot it around without the mouth getting all weird. And I just do everything in Fusion frame by frame, analyzing the waveform, analyzing the voice waveform, playing it back over and over and over, and then tweaking with the lip flaps to get it right. Surprisingly enough, it doesn't actually take that long. Like, once I really standardized that specific workflow of the character bits, like, those only take me, like, maybe 3 to 5 minutes to do. So, like, it's gotten pretty streamlined, and I can just do that pretty quick. But that's why I only do it for very small bits at a time, because it's slightly better than a PNG tuber, but I don't want that to take away completely from the focus of some of these more edited videos, which in the context of at the time, this was a significant project for me, going through the 4 games. Oh, right, and then bits like this, because you can't unhear it. Really though, the biggest point of this was it was a very, very, very shoehorned in way of getting myself into the Linux thing.
And Linux platforms. Wait, Linux? I thought you couldn't even play anything on Linux.
A Linux gaming PC requires all of that crap and then another mountain of crap on top of it.
So what have I been playing on this whole time?
It is not that.
Are you telling me this entire time that I've been playing on something that isn't Windows?
Oh boy. So, the Linux stuff. I guess now we can get to that. The whole reason I'm here in the first place. This shit. That was, admittedly at the time, now that I think about it, there was a lot of things wrong with this Linux video that I think if I could go back and do it again, I would definitely change. Which is the entire reason that I decided I was gonna do the Linux, whatever the hell I'm gonna call it, series. I'm not even gonna give it a name, to be honest. I'm just gonna go with whatever and just get to talking about that stuff. But if I could do this stuff over again, that's what that series is. One of the first things I would have done is not tied this to a previous video that no one would have watched. I don't know what I was doing there. Like, if I was gonna do it as like me putting in that Linux stinger there as a channel with virtually no views, only gets like 10 views per video at this point, and really no attention brought to myself or anything like that. Why the hell did I think I would brute force myself into Linux like that? I don't know. So if I was to do this over again, which is what I'm going to do, I'm not tying it to a previous bit of content that no one would have watched, which out of context doesn't make a lot of sense. The only good thing is that bit only lasts like 20 seconds, which I'm thankful for. Really getting off to a good start here. But yeah, so those previous two videos about just me talking about random video games I liked eventually went into, here's my thoughts about Linux and why I switched to it, and why you should probably listen to my stupid ideas. Linux and anime, what a champ combination. Oh, I think I might have been rambling a little bit too much. Thanks, Toller Toop. The reason I can't read it and I have to lean in like that a little bit is because I'm using a laptop as my second display to keep track of the chat, which is why I can't see it very well. Sorry. Hi, No Bucks. I know exactly why you use it as a name, and I'm not exactly gonna agree, but you know. Anyways, we're talking about going through the history of my channel and talking about why the fuck did I decide to randomly start doing Linux content from my random ass video games. Like, I was just a random person talking about video games, and then I started talking about Linux stuff. And this is still consistently the most watched video on the entire channel. I'm thankful for that. Like, all things considered. I'm very much thankful for the attention that this specific video got, and I don't know if it's really, like, indicative of much of anything apart from this is the one that I actually threw into other people's, like, channels and kind of advertised it. But I'm not gonna lie, I don't hate the Linux video, but there are definitely a lot of things that I would change about it if I could. Ah, is that exactly what that thing was doing? No. It's gonna keep doing some bullshit. Alright. Yeah, I'm trying to... I'm still dealing with layout stuff here because apparently I just have no sense of focus whatsoever, and oh, thank God I have something here. You know what? Let's just throw this soundtrack in because it's quite nice. Fuck. Kind of forgot about that being a thing. Wait, can I actually control this? Yes, but it's very subtle. Eh. Just got something going on in the background. Anyway, so Linux stuff. I would definitely change a lot of things about this, but I am appreciative for the attention that this has gotten me. I think that this was the most ambitious thing that I did at the time. And this is the very first time that I really did stuff that was kind of like making commentary on the state of YouTube at the time, on the state of Linux YouTube. And you know what? I think I proved a lot of things here. There are definitely things I like about it. And that's why I, at some point, want to change this so that's why I eventually want to make an entire series where I just take all the stuff that I talked about in this collective video so that someone wouldn't have to sit through 48 fucking minutes of me rambling about some Penguin operating system. Yeah, so that I definitely want to yeah, I want to eventually chop off all of those individual topics I talk about here, put them in separate videos. That's eventually going to be the plan for that specific Linux series. But and that's also because some people did actually tell me, you know, you should probably put these out as separate things. Now, at the time, they said, oh, you should do shorts. And I was like, do I really want to do shorts? Because personally, my opinion on shorts is, unless it's like a specific skit or something, the way that shorts are to me is kind of a marketing tool, but it also has implications I don't really want to set myself up for. Shorts are like very zippy, quick, and like you gotta get to the point. And I think that sets a precedent for me being the kind of content that's made for people who have short attention spans. And by that I mean for the people where their standards are like 5 to 6, like 3 to 5 minute videos. And as you can tell, I don't do 3 to 5 minute videos. I do 52 hour long, like, dissections of things. So shorts, not the best format. And I know that the stuff I'm gonna do about Linux topics in particular are gonna be shorter. Like, I did eventually figure out that I should probably make things that are 10 to 15 minutes long instead. And that's done significantly better for me. But, you know, at the time, my thinking was, I really want people to have their undivided attention, and I want them to kind of see the whole thing to get the big picture. That was the general thought of it. Again, trying to look at the stream, trying not to panic. But yeah, I'm very thankful for the response. I appreciate it, and that's why I'm going to do more Linux stuff in the future. But they are going to be cut down, they're going to be condensed, and they're going to be specifically for the purposes of teaching other people about Linux. And I hope to do that at some point. Still. Oh, god damn it, the door hose video. Yeah, so now that I think about it, door hose, this animation test really was that, an animation test. That was actually one of the very first things I did with DaVinci Resolve to learn how to make videos. Just period. That's how I learned how to do video making. And you know, if you really want like advice from me of all people to like know, you know, how do you make videos on YouTube? How do you like get good at this? My suggestion, just make memes. I'm not even kidding. Just make short, quippy meme bits. It doesn't matter what kind of videos you make. It doesn't matter how you make them. Just do little memes, and from learning that, you'll learn about how to do individual things that you want to do. And as you build up on that, you can progressively go up to making whatever it is that you had in mind. Doing memes actually really helps, because I can just do like 45-second to a minute long like little bits, and I can learn about how, you know, fusion nodes work and all this other bullshit. And it's very helpful to learn how to get your feet wet with video editing. It's just making memes. Truth be told, I actually had other ideas for the April 1st video, but I was burnt out from Symphonia, which is what came out the month before. I didn't have anything ready at that point, so that's why you saw a really bad meme. But it was like one of the first things I did, and you know, it was something. I had to celebrate it somehow. Of course, at the time, it was like a shitty thumbnail with like me screaming and the fucking red arrow shit, which I never liked those thumbnails, and I've gotten way better at the thumbnails. I am never doing the fucking red arrow bullshit, because that is just manipulative as fuck, and I just don't feel very good about it. But hey, that's how it is. Still, that is kind of jumping ahead a little bit. Memes are the best way to learn a video editor. That is exactly what it is. So yeah, I just remembered that I made that Linux video not really expecting anything. And then in the first couple of days, I got like a couple hundred views, and I just remember like my comments. It started very slow. And I specifically remember like one of the very first comments that I got on that Linux video was something along the lines of, it was some guy complaining that I was comparing myself to Linus, and he was like, what do you do? What do you think you're doing? You're just as bad as Linus, except Linus has 1 million views. And, you know, at the time, I didn't really agree with him, but you know, I may have maybe seen a little bit of his point. Still, I just remembered that the views eventually started really flooding in and got all this positive reception. A couple of hundred views, and I got like a couple tens of subscribers. And I remember I was so panicked that I made a small update video about that on New Year's, which not really much to say, because it's honestly more rambly than, well, just as rambly as this video, honestly. And by this video, I mean this live stream. Geez, you can tell I am not used to live streaming. Oh no. Okay, no cap. If Tuxbucks, if you actually happen to be the creator of GPU Screen Recorder, I don't know if you're joking or not. But if you are, thank you for your contributions for making that program, because that is literally driving this show, is that single fucking program. That is also the reason I will not move to Wayland at this point. It is extremely underrated, and for people who aren't aware, GPU Screen Recorder is the closest thing that we have on Linux right now to proper Shadowplay. And I highly recommend that anyone who's got Linux, and now that it works on like more GPUs, I highly recommend that if you get the chance, try out GPU Screen Recorder. I think it's available as a flat pack. Otherwise, it's on Arch AUR. Very appreciative for that. Anyways, you can send payment for that into ko-fi.com/that1song. Not sponsored, but yeah. So I was panicked about the attention that the Linux video got. And I made that short update video, and then the funniest thing is it only kept going up from there, man. Like, it went from hundreds of views to 1,000 views. I think that's where I screen capped it, actually. That's the wrong fucking video. It's almost like I used the same exact thumbnail style. Oh yeah, and Hat in Time's really fucking adorable. I think I remember that at that time I got Christmas money. I just bought Hat in Time. Yeah, that game's great. 600 views, 26 comments, and 55 likes. 71,000 views, just hit over 1,000 comments, and I think that's like 5422 likes. Surprisingly, I think that's my most disliked video. Yeah. And like a 96.4 as my lowest average of likes to dislikes is actually pretty good. You're seriously. No, seriously, if you are actually the guy who made that program, that is based as F. Yeah, I still have my problems with Wayland in general, aside from your program, if that is the case. I think I actually talked about this a little bit in the stuff I talked about with the Steam Deck. Wayland's just weird. I'm not even going to touch that, but, you know, it is nice to know that it does work. So, you know, hoping for better. Anyways. That was very cute of Past Song to think that this amount of numbers was a lot. That was a lot at the time, because remember, at that point I was at 50 subscribers maybe. I think at that point I may have only just hit 100. I forget. I forgot the exact numbers of what it was at the time, but I just know that it wasn't that long after that I eventually hit the 1,000 and 2,000 sub mark. So like I said before, very appreciative of the Linux support. And so with that, that's how I ended up making that stupid keyboard video, which actually got more views than I thought it did. We'll talk about this soon. This one was me trying to, like, experiment with a slightly different format. Also, this is the first one where I had a community server. Also, I should probably update this social link, now that I think about it. But keyboards, it was interesting. Again, I appreciate it for me, like, I appreciate it for me, experimenting with more formats. And all things considered, the journey with the keyboard was eventful because, of course, I still use the same keyboard to this day. I haven't touched it at all since then, and it's been actually going really good. So, in case anyone's wondering for some reason about that loose thread about the keyboard thing, yeah, I still use the same setup. The same modded bullshit. Like, oh, come on, just show the shot eventually. Yeah, that's the same board that I use to this day, same position, same everything. The only difference is pretend that there's not a line of books being a monitor stand. That's how, it's just how really jank my setup is at the time, anyways. It still kind of is now, but yeah. keyboards. But I got to experiment with that, and like that went pretty well, all things considered. Managed to foster a little bit of a community. I think it was at this point that maybe a little bit of the popularity must have been getting into my head a bit, because I decided I knew I eventually wanted to talk about. So, if you couldn't tell, I am a stupid Tales fan. Now I am a stupid Tales of and Arcana Heart fan, as is now evidenced by, well, frankly, the channel banner. But I'm a really big fucking Tales of fan. I already didn't have many good thoughts about Symphonia, and I thought that the whole history of Symphonia ports was interesting. And this was another step in me kind of delving into different styles of video. I wanted to do a Digital Foundry style deep dive fucking retrospective about the history of ports. Yeah, it didn't do too hot with reception, and honestly, I completely understand that, because I got like a couple hundred, and then it just sort of slid. Weirdly enough, through like I had sort of like a view, like a weird attention bump, like 2 weeks ago, which you can kind of see in the analytics here, just for some reason, where like September 6th ish through the 17th was just a lot of views for some reason, so got like a little bump there. I kind of figured that the Symphonia video was always going to be pretty unpopular, and honestly, I'm not very sorry about that. Like, I completely understand that it's not everyone's cup of tea, but the Symphonia video was the closest thing for me to something that, since the Urban Rain video, I made that video purely for myself, because I knew if I didn't talk about it then, I was never gonna stop talking about it ever again. And to be fair, I keep referencing it now, but it would be a lot worse if I didn't actually make an entire video about the situation. And frankly, the whole Symphonia porting situation is just fucking stupid anyways. Those ports just keep getting worse as the years go on, and I'm not the biggest Symphonia fan. That game deserves better. Rant aside. But yeah, that is totally a video that I did for myself. And also, jumping ahead a little bit here, GoldenEye was absolutely that. But GoldenEye is also, I don't know, it was kind of trendy to do. I expected it to do a little bit better since the length was shorter. And I think I just did a generally better job of like describing things and just keeping the format well paced. But it just has to be that the length is very imposing, and honestly, I don't blame people for that at all. Still, you know, if you want something to waste like a couple hours, I did actually. The GoldenEye video was actually the very first video that I showed off to like a friend of mine, and yeah, they were actually kind of impressed by it. I think they were a little bit angry. Just a little bit angry that I didn't actually tell them about it beforehand, because they were saying like, actually good editing. Which, like that means a lot. Thoughts on Big Chung? No. That's my thoughts. None. I don't really have thoughts. I'm not a memes person. I know it might look like it because age, I guess, but I'm not a memes person at all. Like, I'm the farthest thing from a memeable individual. I mean, you can make memes about me. Like I'm sure that's probably already happened. Don't show that to me. I'll be terrified. But I'm not a hip kid. Let's just say that. Considering the content of this channel, I'm not a very like meme driven person. Although I have been getting better. To be fair, the Steve Ballmer jokes here that I did, I actually still kind of like it. Oh yeah, DVI. I almost forgot about this entire goddamn section. Also, this is the very first reference of fucking Arcana Heart, as you can not see here. But we're just gonna ignore that. This whole saga of the DVI monitor. No, shut it. We're gonna play this out here. For those who are uninitiated.
Yeah, you wouldn't. My favorite GPU upgrade pitfall was when I got my 3060 Ti, and I didn't realize until after I put my whole system back together that I didn't have a display cable for it. No DVI connector? Hold on. A 3060 Ti? And you're running DVI? How are you still running DVI, bro?
I have a 3060. I'm not using a freaking DVI.
Right? I stopped using DVI years ago.
Yo, what kind of fucking monitor you got? Bro?
That's what I'm saying, bro. I meant to upgrade my monitor forever ago, but Gweh.
Gweh.
Motherfucker got a CTE for the monitor.
Yeah. This motherfucker be using a goddamn CRT as his main computer monitor. This motherfucker still using S-Video.
I wish. Don't knock S-Video, by the way. Like, that shit, if you have a TV that uses S-Video, it actually looks kind of good. Color reproduction isn't as good as it could be, but it looks kind of good. The DVI monitor.
Knowing Seong, you probably would.
These motherfuckers scarred me. I wouldn't stop thinking about the DVI monitor. And that is not supposed to be shade on Pav at all, or his racist friend Bear. It is not supposed to be a shade on any of them at all. It's like I just kind of assume that we're sort of chill and we're friends. We can shit talk each other. That's really all it is. Just poking fun at the whole situation. I mean, that TV is kind of beautiful, although you're not going to see it very well because the Saturn BIOS, yes, that is a Sega Saturn connected to it, doesn't do it any favors, frankly, at least. It's not the best thing I could have put it on, but it was a looping background image. I needed something to show that it was on. Also, my god, my hair is fucking curly. Can I just say, that's like one of the things that I hate about my appearance is that fucking curly hair business. It looks it looks fine up to a certain point. I like to keep my hair kind of short, for the record. When my hair gets long, it gets curly. When it gets curly, it gets all tangled. And when it gets tangled, God, it's the worst thing ever to maintain because it doesn't stick very well unless you use like fucking hair gel. And I just don't like dealing with curly hair. Some people might like it, I guess. I would use a CRT as my main monitor if I had a desk deep enough to have the keyboard right in front. God damn, I would not use a CRT TV. Are you fucking kidding me? A CRT TV. You would actually use a CRT TV as a monitor. You are crazier than I. Good non-binary pal, and I salute you for that. But yeah, I couldn't do it personally. I would need an actual monitor. A CRT monitor, way better than a CRT TV. Very underrated. Get a Dell, by the way. Those who might be watching after the fact, get a Dell CRT monitor. That shit's actually pretty good. Very cheap too. But yeah, the saga of DVI and the S-Video. That is a face to freeze frame on. I'm keeping it that way. Man. I guess I can put the music back on. Actually, what if I did... Okay, I'm gonna do a little bit... little bitty bit of maintenance here. If I can do another window capture. You. Oh, right. I don't actually have the thing on. Got you. Kind of forgot about that. Right. I could jerry rig this. I don't actually know, and I don't remember if the music is actually that. The music should be fine, but there you go. That dead space was gonna bother the shit out of me if I didn't do anything about it. Anyways, autism aside. No, like a monitor. Oh, gotcha. Well, that's a TV is the thing. I wouldn't use a CRT TV as a monitor, but a monitor, like a CRT monitor. Yeah, obviously, I want to get one of those, but that's like a thing way off situation. Still, after all of that is kind of where we get to present day, because my god, I forgot how long that GoldenEye video took me. It took me fucking 3 months to do. And that is because it took a lot out of me. But also, I was kind of slow with making those videos, and I am a very slow creator kind of person. Did you watch Evangelion? And if so, what are your thoughts? I have never watched Evangelion. I just know it for memes. That's basically it. I think I have Evangelion saved on my server, but I want to actually get through Mobile Suit Gundam first, which I've had the first couple Gundam series saved on my server, and I want to get to watching those at some point. Don't know when, but I want to get the Gundam first before Eva. Still, I've heard about it. But yeah, speaking from like a creator's perspective, I'm a very slow creator, and I think that's just something I've had to come to terms with. A very slow, but a very deliberate creator, and I think there are some people in the audience who have like taken... There are people who have been pretty understanding of that, and I just can't help but be appreciative of the people who like understand that I am a slow worker and I just take time to do things, because I am a slow worker, but I'm also a perfectionist. It's a really bad combination to have, because I'm very slow to work on things, and when I do work on things, I work on one shots, whether it be showing a game or a bit or a meme or whatever. I work on that on like individual scenes for longer than I realistically should. But I think that's also kind of the quality that makes my stuff not trying to like justify my worth on YouTube or anything like that, because that would just be a little bit silly. But I think that I just like to think that putting time into making stuff that is quality, yeah, the stuff's going to take longer to come out, but that just means that when something does actually come out and it's good, it's something that's more worth remembering, I suppose. You know, whatever that feeling you get from it or not is a different story, but you know, I want my stuff to be a little bit more. I want my stuff to be just a little bit more than just, you know, talking about something for 5 minutes and then making that. ad nauseum every other day for the next year. I don't want to do that. Because the truth is that when I started doing YouTube stuff, aside from eventually wanting to talk about Linux, the ulterior motive for me having this channel is that my channel is effectively a portfolio. Of sorts. Like, it's a video portfolio that I can use to maybe one day, if I ever get an editing job, as unlikely as it is, I have my foot in the door and I can point to this shit and say, hey, look, I don't know what kind of stuff that is you're looking for, but I can do this shit. I'm very much capable of it. There are people who watch it and kind of like it sometimes. And this is like one of the ways that I'm trying proactively, in a way, to get a job at some point. That's my thinking anyways. I want to do this to get a job, but finding work in PA hasn't been the most fruitful thing, and I am also very terrified of remote work. And also being a Linux creator might make things a little bit inaccessible because the only software I have is Resolve, and depending on what someone does for like collaborative work, and this is one of the reasons I fucking hate Adobe, by the way, is that the entire world is either working on Adobe or fucking Final Cut. Not a lot of creators actually use Resolve, and I think it's kind of a shame because DaVinci Resolve is genuinely really fucking good. You can't have a mid-2000s console mod without Eva pics. Is that an actual thing? I'm not aware of that. Do a daily driving Among Us for a month as a video. Listen here, motherfucker. Listen here. Stop posting about Among Us! Good point, though, about me eventually talking about distros. I might. The problem is there are a lot of other people who do it. I have a setup that is pretty rigid, and that doesn't give me a lot of flexibility for like flashing other operating systems. Because if I'm gonna test an OS of some kind, I want to do it on the bare metal. I want to do it on a separate partition. I don't have the space for that. I know you didn't hear that, but that was an ambulance that just passed by. I hope no one got hurt. It's actually a relatively peaceful neighborhood, so I don't think so. Bit sus of you, as you ask me. No, you're the sussy baka. Go. Fuck no. Yeah, if I'm gonna talk about operating systems, which for the record, I'm probably not, because there are other people that do it. I want to do it on hardware, but my setup doesn't allow me to. And I'm not going to do things in like VirtualBox because I just don't think that's representative of an actual user's use case. So that probably isn't going to happen. That said, why is it that the only things I have on this thing are, like, of course, the only music I have queued up right now is fucking Arcana Heart. Jesus Christ. Fuck it. Oh god, I have been not prepared for anything. That's just amazing. Fuck it. It's a really good piece of music. I don't think I've simped about this enough on my channel, but Motoharu Yoshihara is actually a really good composer. And the Arcana Heart soundtracks from at least 2 really good. Anyways, so there are other people that have talked about Linux operating systems. In my personal opinion, and this is actually what's one of the very first things I talk about in that Linux series, is going to be the distro doesn't matter. It really doesn't. Outside of the package manager, and maybe if you're being particular about it, what's the bundled software that it comes with? Linux is Linux is Linux is Linux. It really doesn't matter that much. If you get deep down into packages and package maintainers using patches on their packages, sure, maybe there's a case to be made there. But for the average person, if you're just talking about Ubuntu or Mint or EndeavourOS, fuck even Manjaro, even though I don't recommend Manjaro particularly. Actually, I don't recommend EndeavourOS either because you shouldn't be using an Arch-based distro. But, despite the fact that Arch is what I use, but aside from that, Linux is Linux is Linux. You'll be fine if you stick to the big names and just use that. It is perfectly fine. So I'm not going to talk about specific distros. I'm just going to talk about things in a way that is generalized enough so that you can apply it to virtually anything with noted exceptions if there are any. And yes, that also means I am going to talk more about Flatpaks, because I know that I kind of talked a load of shit here about... I did kind of talk smack about Flatpaks recently, and that actually didn't really rile people up, thankfully, because I hope they understand that it's just my opinion. And that I don't say that Flatpak is bad. I say I just don't like Flatpak for my personal use case. The whole point was talking about habits. I actually did start using Flatpak a little bit more, and while I still won't switch to it for all of my applications, I do actually use it currently for a few select games and applications, and I am mostly fine with it. I still don't quite enjoy the permission system of Flatpak, because frankly, I don't like Android permissions. Why would I like that on my computer? But aside from that, Flatpak has actually been a pretty smooth experience. Just don't use it to interact with your main desktop. But if you're using it for like emulators, it's probably going to be fine. But that's something I'm going to look more into, and I do promise I will talk about Flatpak eventually, like in more detail. And I guess say more about why I don't personally use it for everything, but I will use it in some cases. That said, still don't like Wayland very much, but whatever. Also, I know that there is someone in particular in the comments of this video that kind of complained about me using this specific avatar to represent myself. I don't know if they're going to be watching this, but it's fine. I hear you. Is Professor Paracelsia the one I should have used? No, probably not. That was probably a really bad idea, and I'm not going to do it again for extended periods anyways. I'm going to use someone else. Me using female avatars, though? Like, I'm still going to keep using them. The plan is I eventually do want to get myself, like, a commission and OC. Because I do kind of have an OC in mind that I want to use more as the face for this channel, and they would be in place of the other character sprites. For now, this is what I got to work with. That's what I'm using. I'm probably not going to use Arcana Heart sprites again, though, for this, because they just don't have the emotion that I want them to have. They're very stilted, which is actually something I'm probably going to talk about in the eventual Arcana Heart retrospective, but still. One thing I hate most about the Linux community is the tribalism. Yeah, fuck those people. I know that there's some people that are really fucking devoted to some trains of thought. I don't fucking understand them whatsoever. And I really wish that people would chill the fuck out. People have preferences. There's a lot of different ways to do things in Linux. That's exactly what they wished for, and that's what they're getting. Please do not complain if someone does things in a certain way. I'm not gonna do it, so everyone else should probably respect that. But hey, not everyone's gonna listen. It's gonna happen anyways. Can't convince everyone in the world, unfortunately, so I just try to ignore that shit and move on. Because I don't like the tribalism. Especially when you tell someone that you have an NVIDIA graphics card and they start complaining to you all of a sudden about how you're using the wrong thing and that your Linux experience is obviously not indicative of anything because you're using NVIDIA. Here's a word for you. I'll leave it at that. I've had enough talk about NVIDIA shit. I use NVIDIA. That's what I use. Leave it at that. If it gets any more than that, then I've already been very made uncomfortable by people going on about my using NVIDIA. There are still people to this day that comment on that fucking Links video about NVIDIA. And I don't know what else to say to them. I feel like I've made my points about it. I'm not going to rehash them. I don't like rehashing information that should be plainly obvious. Don't be a dick. This is all there is to be said. If you're going about Linux, don't be a dick. Otherwise, don't be surprised when people go like my friend did, which is in fact part of the reason why I did this, is that this was someone who I actually did ask recently about their thoughts on Linux on the Steam Deck. They don't like Linux very much, and I'm sure if they probably knew how to get Windows to run, they would probably do that too. We need to do a lot better with regarding Linux stuff to get people to accept it. We have to make it more welcoming, and the way not to do that is complaining and bitching and moaning about people having an AMD, NVIDIA, or Intel, Power VR, 3DFX. Stop that. Get some help. Well, there's to be said about that. That's all there is to be said about it. Yeah, the NVIDIA hate on Linux is annoying. Developing GPU screen recorder was easier on NVIDIA, funnily enough, and it works more consistently than in AMD and Intel. That's pretty much all there is to be said. Some things are going to be better on AMD. Other things are going to be better on NVIDIA. Maybe not, maybe whatever. Sometimes it happens depending on the moon phase, but hey, GPU drivers are always kind of funny regardless. I just don't like the tribalism with video cards in particular because it's the one constant that keeps showing up. And I, am not gonna block those people or anything. That would be stupid. But just chill. Calm your tits, people. It's not that bad. That's just the insane part about it, is that whenever I talk about my personal NVIDIA experience and people are all like, wow, you're like the most untroubled NVIDIA user ever known to man, or you're a liar. Like, no shit, I actually did get comments about, like, I got comments from people who were in discussions, which let's just not say where these discussion forums were, but I have to be in some of these for bug reporting reasons. So I didn't want to be there in the first place, but there were some people, every so often they get into another little squabble about AMD versus NVIDIA shit. And when I come in, kind of trying to give NVIDIA a little bit of slack by being like, oh no, NVIDIA isn't actually that bad, their immediate response was, luckiest NVIDIA user around, or cap. That's a paraphrase, but that's basically what they said. And then some of the other ones were all like, oh, how's that XID number, whatever the fuck, treating you? I'm like, I actually haven't had any crashes. To which I usually respond with, hey, how's that AMD GPU Pro driver going? Yeah, I know that AMD drivers are technically built into the kernel or something, but you still need that if you want to do video editing and professional work on Linux. They always seem to forget that. I'm sure Rockham has improved with that, but NVIDIA also isn't as bad as people say, so it goes both ways. That's how it is. The AMD experience is better than I thought. The NVIDIA experience might be better than what they think. Amazing. It's almost like individuality is a thing, and people have different experiences. I'm not a personal fanboy of NVIDIA. In fact, I actually kind of hate them. But I use what works, and that's really the important part. Just use what works for you. If something doesn't work on Linux, that's not... Okay, except with Elgato, because Elgato is kind of a piece of shit. But in other cases like that, it's like, it's not the fault necessarily of the vendor. Like that's just a problem with Linux. And if something doesn't work as well on Linux within plausibility, it's going to be Linux's fault. You gotta be fair. You gotta be unbiased. And yeah, there's kind of others to be said about the whole GPU driver situation. Because other than that, it's like, fuck. I had a thought and it escaped me. It just leapt over. It just escaped me for no fucking reason whatsoever. Still, NVIDIA shit, AMD shit, whatever. Cool it. That's what it was. One of the video topics I kind of also wanted to get to touch on in like a separate Linux thing. It'll probably be like a relatively quick video, but I kind of want to do like a rapid fire kind of... Oh, this track's actually really good. I really like this. One of the video topics that I did want to do regarding Linux stuff, actually, is talking about what aspects of Linux is actually Linux's fault and what part of that is the hardware vendor. Like, for example, Elgato, that's absolutely a Linux problem because they have committed to not supporting Linux. Adobe, that's Adobe's problem. That's not a Linux problem because they haven't committed to giving any kind of support or helping anyone at all. But then there's some other situations, like there are some applications, Windows applications namely, that when you try to run them in Wine, they have some weird quirks specific to Wine. But in those cases, the developers that I talk to, not Technoparrot, by the way. Technoparrot, if I ever get to that, is a Technoparrot problem, not Linux. But there are some of those developers that I've talked to, or, you know, kind of went to report bugs to or whatever. It's like, if the developer has done all of that they can from their side, short of making a Linux native application, which I absolutely understand can't always be done in all cases, and it might be completely unreasonable, then that's Wine's fault, also known as that's Linux's fault. So there are parts of the experience that are absolutely problems with Linux that can be improved from the Linux side. But then there's also other things like DRM and shit like the AA app launcher. It's funny because I actually also want to talk about fucking PC game launchers because they're a pile of garbage. PC game launchers fucking suck. That's just all there is to be said about it. So like when I get to stuff like Ubisoft Connect, EA App Store, the EA app, fuck them, and Epic Game Store, they just keep breaking for no goddamn reason. And that's their fault, not Linux's fault. Or at least for the most part, it's their fault, not Linux's fault, because that shit is just stupid. But yeah, I think it would be very interesting to go over pieces of using Linux and seeing like what parts of it are actually a Linux thing and what problems are outside of Linux's control. Like, they might still be problems, but those are things that we can't solve ourselves. So I want to eventually talk about that. That would be, I think, really fascinating. I think you said that NVIDIA GPUs were better for editing, or am I mistaken? At the time, when I made that, oh, right. So at the time when I talked about initial Linux stuff and I was going on about Resolve, I think I did say something about NVIDIA being better for editing. At the time, that was before AMD had their whole Rock M thing. Basically, their OpenCL compliant compute extensions that they're adding. Because up until that point, and maybe still today, I don't know, because full disclosure, I don't have AMD hardware, and that's just because I just don't have any. But with AMD stuff, what you would have to do if you wanted to do professional apps like Resolve or Blender, presumably it might be some other applications. If you want to do computing tasks with your GPU, you would have to, for lack of a better word, hopscotch between the kernel, the AMD kernel driver, RADV, and AMD's proprietary GPU stack, specifically to use its proprietary OpenCL compatibility. NVIDIA doesn't have that because the entire driver is proprietary, yes, but it's one driver. There's no confusion about it. Like, when you have the NVIDIA driver, it just works. Everything about it just works, but not the same with AMD. I think the situation's changed with AMD now. I'm not cool sure, because again, I'm not the AMD user here, but I've heard it's better for them now. But at the time when I made that video, yes, NVIDIA was better. It was faster, easier to do stuff with, but you could theoretically do it with AMD, but I've seen people have problems with it on AMD even with that workaround, so that's kind of why I have that bit of hesitation about it. And yeah, they're don't even use AMD GPU for video editing. I use Intel QuickSync on my iGPU. Kden Live supports it. Good for you if you use Kden Live. I can't. I tried using Kden Live, to be fair, but in all honesty, it wasn't stable. And besides, I think that's only for exports or something. But regardless of what the situation is, Kden Live is not great. Resolve just does a lot of things much better, and it's just more streamlined for. Also, habit. Going back to the whole habit thing, Resolve is what I'm used to now. I'm just gonna stick to that. Now, it would be nice if Blackmagic Design would actually fix their fucking application. Because Resolve has been having a problem where, like, those pop-up tooltips that you get when, like, you drag a clip and you get, like, the timecode information as you're dragging something in the timeline, that for some reason broke in the latest version. I don't know why. So, Blackmagic, please fix your shit. I actually did report that to them, too, but BM has always been kind of slow about addressing updates, so who knows if that's ever going to get fixed, but still. That isn't a Linux problem, that's a Blackmagic problem. Very rare that I actually have a problem with Resolve like that. Still, everyone, I think, has their qualms with their video editing suite of choice. I think I've just come to accept that, so. Yeah, and that's the thing. Okay, so clarification on Kden Live. When in Kden Live, I think it's if you use the Mavet library is what it was. If it did certain things, it would just crash. And like, I wanted to use the hardware acceleration because knowing the extent that I make my videos with now, I kind of need that hardware acceleration to make my videos without taking like a year between things just to do basic effects. So I wanted to use the hardware acceleration in Kden Live, and it just crashed a lot. I don't know why. Couldn't really tell you why. That's why I stopped using it. This is all it is. Yes, to be honest, the NVIDIA drivers on Linux are really stable. The only time they gave me problems was an corrupted update, but was an easy fix. Yeah, that is kind of the thing with the NVIDIA drivers. I did have problems with them. And in fact, I did actually mention that once. It's somewhere in here. I honestly don't even remember. Oh, look, there's a timeline of me making my videos. Ha ha, hee hee. Oh yeah, and I also needed to stop doing the whole flashing the captions thing, which I stopped doing a while ago, thankfully. But I can't seem to find that bit in here, but I think I did mention at some point High Tales of Vesperia. Very good video game. I definitely remember when I was in the middle of making this video, and that's... Yes, I remember this exactly. So, to end the whole thing about the driver tribalism bullshit and just being overly passionate about your beliefs, just let this clip sink in, because I know I've shown this a few times, but it still stands to reason because I still see it a lot, so it remains relevant. That myself, and I think I can safely speak for a lot of people that it doesn't help our case any by acting so righteously in your beliefs.
Sad that I have to teach you manners over the internet rather than your mother doing that. I'll explain why this attitude pisses me off in Russian. There is a saying, la 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 la, spit in your soul. Or shit in your
I still
soul,
can't believe I
which
got
is
those in my
referring to
DMs.
people trying to
I
help
almost feel
someone
sorry
who's
for it.
Hi, best girl Alicia. Anyways, don't be a dick, and don't go into someone's DMs rambling about bullshit, because that was some random guy. I remember this very vividly, that I was having problems with. I think it was the 51586 drivers is what it was. Basically, it had an issue with DVI or HDMI displays, where like specifically those ports wouldn't boot up properly and you would just get a black screen when you logged in after the update. It was confirmed a driver bug, but this person was so passionate about believing that I must have been doing something wrong and that I don't know how to generate an init RAM FS image. Like, I don't know basic troubleshooting. I do in fact have Endeavor OS comes with a script that when it updates the system, it regenerates the init RAM file system. So boot problems like that don't happen on the system unless it's a bug in the goddamn driver. And it happened that one time. But they didn't get that. And they thought that it was me not knowing how to use a computer. And I had to tell them multiple times that this is not the case, and it was a bug. And I had to report later that yes, it was a bug, and it was confirmed to be a bug. And they were still indignant on that. And then that's just why I was like, yeah, I have to put this in the video. Obviously anonymize them, but it doesn't really fucking matter because they're probably using an alias anyways, and they're just a generic egg. So egg as in Twitter profile egg, not as in transgender, for the record. No, I'm not a transphobic person. Go NBs. But This person's had the default profile picture and was going on about like like that's what an American would say. Like actually coming off like a fucking Resident Evil 4 villain, talking about how dumb the Americans are for not understanding the basics of this bullshit with Linux that we're dealing with. They don't understand anything. I'm gonna go into the DMs and complain to them about it. That was the stupidest shit I ever saw, and it was actually funny. So that's why I put it in the video. Don't be that guy. Be kind about what things that they use on their computer. Because remember, not all of them do it by choice. There are some people who have a laptop that only has either AMD or NVIDIA drivers. I have heard horror stories about laptops in general on Linux. So chill. Have you tried ricing your system? Kind of. I guess this is a riced system. I mean, if you're really gonna like pull the curtain on like what my setup looks like, I'll just throw up I'll just throw up a screen capture, because why the fuck not, honestly, at this point. Oh, that's too big. Oh, that's big chungle. There you go. There you go. I guess it only works when it's not in studio mode. Weird. Anyways, yeah, it's kind of riced. It's a minimalist rice, but I think it's riced enough. I just want something that's kind of simple and it just works and sort of looks like macOS but doesn't. You can do that on KDE Plasma, and I appreciate it for that. Welcome back, Sandine. Assuming that's how it's pronounced. I don't want to be the one giving the Seong versus Song stuff, you know, because of course I definitely remember the very first time I was called out in chat. That one Seong. Yeah, so welcome back. We're just talking about Linux bullshit here, honestly. Rambling about NVIDIA stuff and how I got into random arguments with people on Discord, which I don't like doing. But oh well, that's just how it is sometimes when you're on Linux and you're in my position specifically. I have to say that my main computer device, it's a laptop with a NVIDIA 3060. I use Arch KDE Plasma in Wayland, literally everything that a normal Linux user is afraid of for some reason. It's been fine. Exactly. That's the point that I've been trying to make this whole time. Finally, someone understands! But, yeah. It's fine. It's okay to have a fine experience. I've had a fine experience with NVIDIA on Linux. Yeah, things could be better. AMD's side could be better. So, you know, I'm not gonna judge people for what they use. Sorry, I'm not that type of person. So, like, I am extremely happy to hear someone that's actually, like, using... I appreciate people that actually understand that, and, you know, They get to experience things that I don't, and I really like that because I really like to soak in other people's knowledge. I guess you could say I like the knowledge. If there's anything better than materialistic things, knowledge. I'm studying Linux because your video and slowly transitions. Oh right, yeah, you're that one. That one, I say. I'm scared that I am the person that got you interested into Linux, but also, you know, very appreciative, and I hope that's been going well for you. Knowledge is power. Yeah, except when it fucking kills you inside because you realize excuse me. Maybe you shouldn't know everything there is in the universe. There are some things in life that are just better left not knowing. There's a bit from this video. I know we're just going back to path shit here, but there is the greatest comment created by anyone
Name
ever.
machine just yet. I'm perfectly comfortable with how everything's working right now.
And now, the greatest comment left by anyone ever. Oh, jeez. Oh, fuck. Oh, God.
I just realized that probably wasn't a good idea.
What?
Don't do this, by the way. This is the point being made here. Don't do this. God. Also, I love when some people talk about the terminal, which scares the shit out of some people. And I'm just gonna say here that where the fuck is my FFmpeg GUI? Like a good one that actually allows me to use the codecs I want. The command line is scary because there are some things that just don't work in flow on the command line. FFmpeg syntax is the most esoteric bullshit I've ever had to use, and I've used Pac-Man. I use, in present tense, Pac-Man. And that's still better than whatever the fuck FFmpeg does. I can't remember this shit by mind. You even got the face unlocking feature that comes with the laptop to work, and the screen rotates and support touch. I think everything that's working without exception, gaming on high quality too. So, like, the thing is, I actually do have in fact, the display that I'm reading your comment on is, in fact, a Surface Pro 4 laptop running on Linux right now. It's fine. I think really a lot of the problems that I have with using Linux on my Surface Pro isn't actually the problem with Linux. I think it's just the problem with how old the Surface Pro 4 is in particular. Also because it has a really shitty soldered-in battery, and of course it's an all-in-one tablet sort of deal. So if you want to disassemble the damn thing, oh man, I can show you the wonders of is this it? No. iFixit Surface Pro 4. There it is. If you want to replace something on a Surface Pro 4, here's what you gotta do. You gotta get the thing. You gotta make sure it's taped on. You gotta make sure the damn thing's taped, I guess. Gotta heat up the sides of the screen so that you can get it removed from the housing. And now you gotta wedge it out of the housing from the sides. Oh, well, of course, you gotta make sure not to do anything with these, or else, oops, you're not gonna have a camera sensor anymore. Or the flex cables. You gotta do all this shit, and sometimes the screen can just fucking crack. Now I have to take that off. Now I have to just remove the shields, and I have to remove each piece of the fucking tablet one. It's not over yet, by the way. One by one, by one, by one, by one, by one. Look at all this. Look at just all these parts that you have to take out in this specific order because the cables wrap in and like come on top on one another. So you have to take them out in a specific way. And like all these like danger spots that you got to deal with. And then of course it's not even getting to the part that when you actually, I also want to do a screen replacement on this tablet. And you know what the best part about the tablet is? There's only one type of display model that you can find. The Surface Pro 2 actually has two different types of display model. It has two different SKUs of display. I think one's by Samsung and the other's by, it might be Philips or something. But they're two different displays. They use two different connectors. You have no way of knowing which display connector it is until you take it apart. Who thought that was a good idea? I'm still baffled when I look at this. And at this point, you basically took apart literally the entire housing of the goddamn thing. And the only thing that's left is literally just the back plate. And at this point, the camera. You have to disassemble the entire thing and then go back up. Oh, this is why I hate the Surface Pro 4. It is a piece of shit. Have you seen Linus trying to open up and Surface? I'm assuming you're talking about Sebastian, not Torvalds. Literally, he bent and ripped apart the housing. I have not actually... is there like a particular surface that he did that to? This symbol? Oh, is that? I'm assuming this is the one you're talking about. Oh no, is this the one?
And my day is ruined. Honestly,
yeah,
speaking,
fuck it. We're not reacting to it. We're just getting to the good shit. All right. Did they get any better with the newer models?
These are serviceable parts. Hard drive is only removable by an authorized technician following Microsoft provided.
Oh, of course they gotta save that to save their asses. I actually don't remember if parts for some of the other Surface devices are like easily accessible. I know I searched for the Surface Pro 4. Again, you can only find one model display. I don't know if my model has that display, but that specific connector. So if I get the wrong one, I tear apart the entire thing, and then it just gets to the point that, oops, I bought the wrong thing, and then I wasted $300, because fuck, the displays are expensive.
Have you up? Is immeasurable, and my day is ruined. Don't get it. What are we missing?
Oh.
Can't get a pick in there. Can't get a...
Now I see.
Sorry, Microsoft.
Oh, this is
viewers.
god awful.
I'm sorry, Brandon, that you have to witness this.
I'm not sorry, Microsoft. It's their fault.
That is god awful. Oh no. No. He bent it. And for reference, I know Linus has gone. I'm aware of the Linus situation. If you want to know whose fault it is, if you actually can't find a bit. Oh, no, that's not it. Oh, there it is. It's this guy's fault. This is the guy to blame for the entire Linux. Well, no, there's like a lot of shit that's been going on, but this is the guy that literally bet Steve from Gamers Nexus about their testing methodology. And then Steve took that bet and basically destroyed their entire careers in a day. And then they had to go and fix that. So I know what happened with the Linus situation. It's very unfortunate. I didn't even like Linus's content to begin with. But in fairness, they don't make the kind of content that I would personally enjoy. So that would be unfair to me if I judged them based on, because they're just not my type of content. I watch fucking classic game room and lazy game reviews. I don't give a shit about Linus. So, like, as long as they are on the right track, which they kind of seem to be, knocking on wood there, if they are getting better, that can only be good for their specific audience, and I can only be glad for that. Also, I know this is not his fault for ripping apart that. That's just shitty design of the Microsoft Surface products. I won't recommend anyone use a Surface device. They're god-awful for if you want something that lasts. Get a fucking framework, please. Get a framework. Please support that company. I actually really want one, but I just don't publicize it that much. Frameworks are beautiful. And you can open them up easily and replace the fucking thing. You can upgrade the goddamn components. You can change the battery without having to perform fucking microsurgery on it. It's amazing. So you should get a framework. Not sponsored. There's a guy called Leva Kiwi who made a video daily driving Linux for a month. Have you seen it? Maybe you could react to it if you haven't seen it. I know exactly what you're talking about. This one. Yeah, I've already seen this one before. I've seen it plenty. And I've seen him before he also had his interview on Tech Over Tea, which is Brody Robertson's channel. Brody Robertson's okay, whatever. It's, again, not my type of content. He's a little bit too on the nerdy side. Got a notification for some reason. Okay. Oh, the birthday messages are coming. Oh no. I feel my burns. I feel my bones turning into dust. Oh no. We're hitting closer to the turnover point where I actually become old. Anyways, Brody Robertson's like a channel that I am subscribed to, but only because I just hear about random Linux bullshit from him, and that's it. That's like the only place I hear about Linux bullshit from. Aside from the Linux experiment. Nick from TLE is actually like a really cool dude. Again, he goes into things a little bit more in depth than I would, but he covers things well. I actually recommend that you watch his stuff. Yeah, I've seen Leva Kiwi's thing, and it's like, yeah, it's accurate, though I don't necessarily share all the same feelings. I remember one of his biggest problems was actually VRR monitors, which I can't speak for that. I have a DVI monitor, so I don't have a variable refresh rate thing, and he had more problems with his system, which I do not doubt that. People have problems with systems all the time. That's fair. But yeah, I've seen him. Yeah, we're not going to talk about the LTT thing anymore. Frameworks are really good. I know this might be a little bit lame, but I'm probably going to end up getting like the thin and light, like the 13-inch at some point. Probably going to get a refurbished one. One thing I really like about framework is that One nice little detail that I found out about them, I think it's in... Is it on their Marketplace laptop? I know it should be here somewhere. That I think they have refurbished systems. They are produced from their service center at New Jersey. Oh yeah, I love that. Representing my shitty home state. But yeah, I was honestly thinking just getting like one of the older gen 13-inch laptops that are refurbished and just go with that, because frankly, I'm already messing around with old shit anyways. What's a little bit older? Also, I just do think that refurbished stuff is just good to have. I do want the frameworks at some point. I really do. Budget. Budget. I got $3 in a dream right now. I only have $3 in a dream. So that's why. But yeah. Frameworks are really good. Or at least everything I hear about them is just sublime. For the type of person I am, where I will deal with a little bit of software techie bullshit, if the hardware just lasts a really long time, yes, please, thank you. So, oh no, there's a Cooler Master case when you upgrade the mode. What can you say about New Jersey? Hey, at least it's not New York. True. New York. Well, here's the thing. You say that in jest, but the problem is with New Jersey is that it is actually becoming New York. That was kind of part of the problem, is that their economy is starting to go to shit, specifically in New Jersey. Because where I was at was extremely close to New York. Like, New York was a commute away. Like, it was literally just a train stop away from me. And the prices started to creep a little bit in New Jersey, but it's nowhere near the same, well, nowhere near the same ideal of the quality of living that people think about when they think about New York. So just, New York is shit. New Jersey is still pretty shit and doesn't really have like the benefits, quote unquote, of New York. So kind of one of those things. So just, yeah, frameworks are super cool, and I want to eventually, like every Linux person probably has ever said, I want a framework. At least I'm not saying I want a ThinkPad, because Pav has already talked about his ThinkPad. He can handle the ThinkPad. I ain't getting a ThinkPad. They lowered the price a lot of the older version. They told that they found a bunch of motherboard lying around a warehouse. Jesus Christ. It's pretty good, actually. But yeah, I want to get one of those so bad. Meanwhile, I live in Ohio. I wouldn't know what it's like. Outside of the places that I've personally been to, which has been New Jersey, where I used to live, and now Pennsylvania, which is okay. Pennsylvania, okay place, pretty quiet. Nowhere near as good as pizza. Like, the pizza, you're talking about quality of living. Housing is one thing. The pizza is the other. You really want to get that good local joint shit. We had a really good one in New Jersey. Like, that was pretty good. A couple of them even. Here in PA, we don't have the same kind of pizza spots. It's very sad. But yeah. Just wanted to drop by and say you are the most underrated Linux YouTuber. It is criminal that you only have 2K subs. Don't give up. I'm not giving up. Trust me. I'm going to be more annoying about this shit than ever before. You just watch. While we're talking about fucking underrated YouTubers, If any of you haven't already and you like the kind of shit that I do, please go watch Pandemonium reviewing every US Sega Saturn game. Because his shit is just poggers. Like, if you at all like any of the stuff that I do, please. How the hell has this documentary only just gotten to 45K? I don't understand. This man makes way better shit than I do. I still gotta watch this about the Sega financial year, but that's like an hour long, and I'm not doing it on stream yet. So, but yeah, like, there are other underrated YouTubers that also deserve way more attention than me, trust me. But thank you very much, as I shill for someone else entirely. I've done that twice now on this channel. Thank you very much for, you know, the kind words. It means a lot. It is also fucking terrifying to hear that. To hear other people actually kind of take me seriously. That is something I've really just had to kind of come to terms with throughout this whole experience. Was, for the longest time, I never actually thought of myself as someone worth caring about or listening to. And I'm not trying to, like, pity monger or whatever. That is legit what I thought of myself as. So, hearing the kind words of people, and also the fact that some people fucking donated to my ass. Like, I'm actually getting kind of paid to do some of this shit. It's like, that's stupid. That's amazing. And I guess that means that there is some merit to me after all, right? Not gonna put myself on a pedestal or anything, but it's like, huh, maybe I shouldn't beat myself up so much. Maybe. But yeah, that's kind of how it is. I never really thought of myself that much up until now, so thank you. You wouldn't be the only ones to, like, say kind things. It's like, I've heard this from other people too, especially as of late, who actually, like, care. And yeah, the same thing kind of always fits. Like, I just need to have a little bit more self-esteem. Just a little bit more. But, self-deprecating humor is funny. Where I live, we have the most amazing dim sum. Thanks, by the way, for the kind words. Like, I know maybe I am talking about it a little bit too much, but it does mean a lot. It does mean a lot, and it's kind of ridiculous that it's at that point, and I still have no goddamn idea where the boost in, like, the views came from. I am just shocked every time I look at it. It's like, wow, people actually came in droves to watch my shit. That is amazing, but yeah, you know. Like, that's great. Yeah. I don't really look at the numbers much, if I'm going to be perfectly honest. I don't really look at the numbers all that much. So, I usually don't pay attention to analytics. I only do that very rare occasions when I find shit like, oh, look, the views are skyrocketing. I'm getting more things in my inbox. Another person telling me NVIDIA is bad. Has happened, unfortunately. But, you know, again, went through that already. Yeah. Shit's happened. You see, I don't do reaction shit, so I honestly don't know if I should do that. It's not really something I'm a fan of doing, just because I know the whole YouTube reactioner thing has been kind of making a comeback in not the best possible way, so I don't really want to put myself in that crowd. And I also think I'm just a very boring reaction. I'm either very boring and I just sit through and soak the entire video up until the end, so it doesn't make me any better than the reactionists. Reactors. or I pause every 5 seconds to go on another 3-minute long tangent about some little detail I found. It's one or the other. I'm an idiot. I know. But that's how it is. How long have I been going for now? Like 2 hours 50. That's a surprise. Shit, I might just actually have to start wrapping this up because I kind of said all that I really need to say about, I guess, whatever the hell this channel is or what it's become. I already kind of talked about everything and how it's got to this point, and had a lot of fun chats about other bullshit. Oh right, I also have these other 2 things here. No, I'm not linking them, but this isn't even like a real video. It's literally just like a clip. And it's the first time that I would have actually watched it since it was uploaded. So that's funny. Tales of Legendia is a video game. That's kind of all that there is to be said about it. But we just need to get to it. Oh yeah, there you go. So yeah, there's your thick juggle boy. This boss is the only one that this can happen to because the way that he works in particular, the hitbox is so goddamn big that he's supposed to dip into the floor is how it works. He's like a sea creature type of deal, sinking into the floor. But he has such a huge fucking hitbox, and he has a very slow descent. So that means if you just launch him into the air, you could just do this bullshit and then just spam your arts the whole time, and he'll never get down. And at the end, I think it's actually like 230, almost 230 hits. Yeah, that's not normal for this game. It's stupid. Tales of Legendia is a video game. It is a very perfectly balanced video game with no flaws whatsoever. But I do like its cast. It's a very endearing cast. I just wish that it got a remake. But it probably won't ever happen. Oh yeah, and I also, this is actually... So this is the only remaining proof of something where I actually did... Oh god. This was back when I actually streamed on Mixer. Yeah, that's exactly what this was. And this was the very first stream thing I did at the time. Holy shit, why? Why did I do that? Oh no. Man, I forgot about this. The infamous, to me, the infamous Drake video, quote unquote. So this is some really deep channel lore, and you probably won't actually give a shit about it. Well, I did random bullshit on Mixer. This is the only time I think I did random bullshit on Mixer, and this is certainly the only one I actually saved. But at the time, this is actually the very first time I was trying to do YouTube stuff. This was back when I was in college. I think it was in my second year at this point. I think it was the fall semester. Oh no, this would have had to have been the spring semester, right? Of that year. And I was like, hey, I'm gonna do a review of the fucking meme video game Drake of the 99 Dragons. This was going to be my first video review. Yeah, that didn't happen. I never did that. Now if I did, God, I'm just depressed thinking about it. Like, oh man, gonna play the awful video game. The saddest part is I think with Drake is that it's kind of a fun broken game. It is absolutely broken, and the way it's designed is horrible, and I just don't like it very much. But it's a fun kind of broken mess that I just love to laugh at. That's really all there is to be said about it. Also, it does work on Linux. That didn't really need to be said. It works on Linux in the most jank as fuck way possible. You kind of have to like load it with very specific libraries, and you also have to modify the launcher files so that it doesn't play certain video files, because otherwise it crashes. Drake is weird. But that was going to be my very first video review. I kind of forgot about that. And yeah, that wasn't gonna happen. Will it ever happen? Probably not, because I'm now busy with other shit now. Make the Drake video then. No, I am not. I don't know if I will, actually. Damn. Drake of the 99 Dragons is a freaking video game. Like I just might not. Like, there's better things I could talk about. There's better things I could talk about than fucking Drake of the 99 Dragons. 99, 99, 99, 99. Ugh. Say it fast enough. It sounds like a Dreamcast. Fuck. Anyways, why did I do that? Why am I looking over here? It's 9 o'clock. I think I kind of went on for long enough. This has been going on for nearly 3 hours at this point. So I think it's probably as good a time as any to probably start wrapping things up. This is going to be the first anniversary of this channel, kind of, and it's going to be my 25th birthday in like 3 hours at this point. I am kind of scared, but also kind of excited for things to come, and God help me if I keep making these things. I'm gonna keep making these things, and I'm gonna love every bit of it, and probably hate myself along the way. Who knows? But more stuff is absolutely coming when it's done. Although at this point, the next thing I'm gonna do is probably going to be the first part of that Linux series. That's already scripted, so at this point, just gotta start recording, and then off to the races with that. Thank you very much for coming to whatever the fuck this stream was. And my therapy session. You know, this is kind of the part where I would say other things, but I'm just kind of empty-minded, so thank you for coming. Thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting the channel, especially. Any little bit helps. It really does. And also the kind support in the words. And also just share the stuff. You know, gotta do all that YouTube shit because I don't really push that in the videos themselves, so weh. With all that said, and I don't think I said this the last stream, but whatever. Thanks for watching.